Welcome to the campus of West Brunswick High School. We'll have all the action for you tonight right here on ATMC TV. I am Sam Hickman, not joined by Jake Holmes this week. Instead, we'll be joined by podcasting legend, Big Mike Marr. Mike, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Sam. I'm excited to kind of see some high school playoff football in April.
Yeah, it's man, that will never not be weird. It's odd to say, we're so accustomed to watching high school football action in well, maybe late October, but through November and December. But tonight, it's April 16th, and it's the first round of the state 3AA playoffs. The West Brunswick Trojans finished the regular season with a 5-1 record. They host tonight the Chapel Hill High School Tigers. Chapel Hill won the opening coin toss and has elected to receive. So West Brunswick will kick off to begin the game. Chapel Hill with an identical 5-1 record. Chapel Hill beat Orange by 2 points in its regular season finale to clinch a berth in the state playoffs. We're just a couple minutes away from the opening kickoff. Mike, it should be a good one tonight.
I expect so. I was watching the guys warm up. They look pretty evenly matched size-wise, so I'm interested to see what the schemes kind of do.
So, again, the game clock shows about 2.5 minutes before the opening kickoff, and the stakes are very clear in playoff football in North Carolina and most places for that matter. Win, advance, lose, and you go home. So for one of these two teams, it's going to be the final game of the 2021 spring season. And oddly enough, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, these teams will turn in their helmets and shoulder pads and then get together again in June to start getting ready for the fall season. And here come the Trojans. They make it through the banner, and we are almost set for the game's opening kickoff. Again, first round of the state playoffs. The playoffs look a little bit different this year in North Carolina due to the pandemic. There are 16 less teams in the 3AA bracket, so there are no weak teams who have qualified for the playoffs. In years past, with the big playoff format, you might get a first-round game against a team that's 5-6 or 4-7. That is not the case this spring, which is exactly why you've got two 5-1 teams squaring off in the first round. But from a more traditional perspective, this would be more like a matchup, a second-round matchup between these two squads.
Well, it's really interesting, Sam, because at 5-1, normally in a regular season, you're hitting your stride right about now. So to see what happens tonight, it's going to be kind of an interesting perspective because hopefully one of these guys, hopefully it's West, gets some steam heading further into the playoffs.
Yeah, that is a very, very good point because it's a possibility that neither of these teams or anyone in the playoffs for that matter has hit their stride yet. Their best football may be in front of them,
Exactly.
2 or 3 weeks from now. You just got to try to advance, figure out a way to win a game and advance, and just hope you keep getting your footing under you as you advance deeper in the playoffs. Locke Murphy, the senior place kicker and wide receiver this year, will handle the kickoff duties for the Trojans. Chapel Hill got 3 guys back deep to receive. It looks like Kyrie Ryling, Khalil Jones, and I can't tell the middle number there, but Murphy with a low driving kick off the return man's hands across the goal line, and it will be a touchback. And Kyrie Ryland was going to try and catch that above his head there at about the 2-yard line and bring it out, but it bounced off his hands and through the end zone for a touchback. Chapel Hill will start the game 1st and 10 at its own 20-yard line. Chapel Hill, a spread team, so you'll see quarterback number 15, Caleb Kelly, operate primarily out of a shotgun formation. Number 11, Jalen Mitchell, the tailback, and boy, Chapel Hill's got some receivers, some good ones that we'll talk about as the game progresses. Chapel Hill going to fire a pass on first down. It's caught, and there's one of them, Mike. That's number 2, Khalil Jones. he averaged about 120 receiving yards per game this season and about 7 catches per game. So he finished with about 42 catches for more than 700 yards receiving. Going to be a tough matchup for the Trojans. 2nd and 4 from the 26. We have a flag on the field. We'll wait on the call from the White Hat. It is going to be a false start penalty against Chapel Hill. So our first flag of the game goes against the visitors, the Tigers, and that will force them into a 2nd and 9 situation from their own 21-yard line.
So, yeah, Sam, it looks like they're going to be trying to spread it out pretty good. I was watching warm-ups a little bit, and they kept kind of throwing it out to number 2, Jones, who caught that first pass, and then they were tending to run a lot of screens and counters in the warm-ups. I don't know if that's just practice or if that's part of their game plan today.
Well, we will find out soon enough. Kelly in the shotgun. He hands it off around the right side. Chapel Hill's got a big play all the way across the 35-yard line to the 37. Patrick Vereen brought the bell carrier down, but that was number 11, Jalen Mitchell, with a gain of 16 yards on 2nd and 9 and enough for a first down.
And honestly, Sam, that was what I was talking about. They pulled the guard, cleared out the defensive end, and went for 15 yards.
So 10:45 left in the first quarter. 1st and 10, Chapel Hill from its own 37. Kelly in the shotgun.
Oh, no.
A bad snap. He retrieves it, looking for a man downfield. It's batted in the air and falls incomplete. A dangerous pass there. Chapel Hill probably fortunate that the end result was an incomplete pass.
I was going to say the same thing, Sam. Of all the things that could have happened after that ball bounced off his hands, that was about the best result they could get.
Absolutely. I think if when the ball was bouncing back there at about the 20-yard line, if you'd have told Chapel Hill you could get an incomplete pass out of this, they would have taken it and run with it. So 2nd and 10 from the 37. Chapel Hill, 2 receivers to the bottom of the screen, 1 to the top. There's Kyle Jones in motion. They're going to run it again. More big-time running room by the Tigers and gashing the Trojans in the run game. Again, the tackle made by number 14, Patrick Vereen. But Chapel Hill finding some gaping holes against the West Brunswick defensive line early in this one. The Tigers have a 1st and 10 at the 46-yard line of West Brunswick.
It'll be interesting. That left side of Chapel Hill's line looks a little bit more stout than the right side of West's defense.
Kelly's got time. He steps up in the pocket, finally brought down at about near midfield. Hyson Hussein comes up with a big sack there. Kelly did a pretty good job to only lose a couple of yards on that play, but Hussein with a big sack. So early on in this one, West has done a good job defending the pass against Chapel Hill, but hasn't been able to slow down the Tiger run game.
You can clearly tell where they spent a lot of their time in practice this week.
So a 2nd and 12 from the 48-yard line of West Brunswick. Kelly again in the shotgun. 9.5 minutes left in the first. Another run, and this time West Brunswick ready for it. I believe that was 42, Tyleek Webb. 18, Trip Hardy, rather. A big play by the senior linebacker. So Chapel Hill has lost yardage on consecutive plays, setting up a 3rd and 13 from near midfield, just inside midfield, with 9 minutes left to go in the first quarter.
It was really impressive how quick he came off the ball and filled that gap, Sam.
Trip Hardy, the senior linebacker, made some big plays for the Trojans just this year and continues it in the playoffs. That's going to be a false start penalty against Chapel Hill. And 3rd and 13 is difficult, Mike, and 3rd and 18 is that much harder.
It'll be interesting. I'm going to go ahead and assume they're probably going to throw it, Sam.
Yeah, Mike, in high school football, sometimes it's tough to tell of these teams that you find some teams that'll run it 40 times a game and maybe attempt 5 passes, but Chapel Hill's not one of those. They are not afraid to air it out. And, yeah, I expect them with their playmaking capabilities to try and convert this.
You can already see West shading the side to the number 2 for Chapel Hill.
Man in motion. Kelly's pass complete, and that's enough for the first down.
Fumble, looks like.
Ball
No,
is
ball's
on the
down.
ground, and West unable to get off the field on 3rd and 18. Boy, I know it's early, plenty of time left, Mike, but that's a backbreaker there to give up a 30-yard play.
It really is devastating. They had the outside covered really well, but they slipped right up behind the linebackers and really kind of got the ball seamed right in there.
Number 4, Michael Simpson, and 44, Carter Wyatt bring down the ball carrier, but Mitchell was able to gain 3 yards to the 29 there. It's going to set up a 2nd and 7 from inside the West Brunswick 30-yard line.
It's really impressive how West has kind of been able to just kind of chew the clock, and it's already feeling like a puncher's match so far.
Yeah, impressive opening drive by the Chapel Hill Tigers. Man in motion. Kelly keeps it. He is brought down by number 42, Tyleek Webb, right at the 25-yard line. So a good gain of about 4 yards by number 15, Caleb Kelly, and Chapel Hill faces a 3rd and 3 from the 25-yard line. Oh, West was there. West was ready for it that time, Mike. Big tackle for loss. Luke King, Tyleek Webb, Hyson Hussein, True Robinson. Basically, the entire West Brunswick defensive line was in on that tackle.
You call it a good defensive play when you get 3 guys to the ball behind the line of scrimmage.
Absolutely. A loss of a yard there, and Chapel Hill's going to leave the offense on the field. So 4th and 4 from the 26-yard line. The Tigers need the 22 for a first down.
I think they're just trying to draw them off sides here, Sam.
Play clock down to about 9 seconds. So West Brunswick trying to come up with a critical 4th down stop. Chapel Hill snaps it. Kelly's trying to run with it. Got a man out of the backfield, wide open, and rumbles inside the 15-yard line for a first down. Tackled by number 11, Johnny Magby there, but Chapel Hill, again, with a huge conversion, and the Tigers are in business with a 1st and 10 at the 12-yard line of the Trojans. Number 22, Malachi Corbett there, the pass-catching back out of the backfield, just slipped out there, and West didn't have him covered. So a huge 4th and 4 play there by Chapel Hill.
Yes, West seems to be covering the initial, parts of the play, but then they're just leaving those seams kind of open.
And that shows you kind of the playmaking capability of number 2, Kylil Jones. It looked for a split second like West Brunswick may have him for a loss, and the next thing you know, he's inside the 10-yard line and somehow picked up 4 yards. So instead of a, 2nd and long or maybe 2nd and 12 situation, he picks up 4 yards, and the Tigers now have 2nd and 6. And Mike, they're already 6.5 minutes into the first quarter, and West Brunswick hasn't touched the ball you
thought they were going to get off the field on a couple of those 3rd and longs, but they just kind of gassing them out so far.
Handoff up the middle. True Robinson there does a good job bringing down the ball carrier at the 6-yard line. So yet again, number 11, Jalen Mitchell, finds a little running room. Chapel Hill needs the 2-yard line for a first down, so it's going to be 3rd and 4 from the 6 with exactly 5 minutes left here in the first quarter. Still scoreless here on ATMC TV.
It's going to be interesting because Chapel Hill can really kind of run any play they want in this area because they got a little bit of yardage to go, and they've successfully ran a couple counters and those slip screens.
Kelly under center in the I formation, rolls out to his right, being chased, and he's got a man, and it is a touchdown. Number 33, Ben Yates, slips out of the backfield and is all alone across the goal line. A 7-minute, 27-second, 80-yard scoring drive by Chapel Hill. They convert a 4th and 4 and a 3rd and 18 on the drive, and all Tigers early. And a impressive drive by Kylil Jones, Caleb Kelly, resulted in a touchdown grab by Ben Yates. Tigers trying to tack on the extra point, Westrum's kick is up. It splits the uprights, and it is 7-0 visitors with 4.5 minutes left in the opening quarter.
Hey, I want to give a shout-out. Luke King on that last touchdown play, man. You know, as a defensive lineman myself, it's hard to cover those backs when they come out of the backfield, especially when it's not your responsibility. He gave it his all.
Yeah, that's twice there when Chapel Hill got inside the West red zone that initially it looked like West had the initial play, or maybe his primary receiver covered. Somebody slips out of the backfield, and there was just no one really around in the vicinity. And Mike, you could attest to this. It's tough for a defensive tackle to cover a tight end or a running back.
Particularly when, like I said, it's not your responsibility, so you kind of have that awareness. You catch it, you see it, but you just can't get to the spot you need to get to.
Nolan Westrum put Chapel Hill in the playoffs with a 40-yard game-winning field goal as time expired to be orange this past Saturday. He handles all the place-kicking duties for the Tigers. He's got a big leg. And this one, I think maybe miskicked a little bit. Patrick Vereen on the return. Oh, somebody had him by the face mask there. And he is brought down finally at the 38-39-yard line. So about an 18 or 19-yard return by Patrick Vereen. And now we'll get our first look at the West Brunswick offense. Should be well rested.
Yeah.
They've done nothing but stand there the first 7+ minutes. West Brunswick led by senior quarterback Monzel Campbell. Campbell transferred in from East Columbus High School, won the quarterback job, and has just been sensational in 6 games this year for the Trojans. Campbell has accounted for 18 touchdowns in 6 games, 6 through the air and 12 on the ground. He's rushed for almost 800 yards and thrown for more than 650. So what a season the seniors had.
Draw up the middle.
Still on his feet.
11, 12, 15,
he's still
20,
on his feet.
25
Finally
yards.
brought down at the 36-yard line. A gain of 25 yards and a West Brunswick first down.
That was one of the most impressive quarterback draws I think I've seen in a long time, Sam.
Yeah, boy, it looked like he was good for about 7, 8, maybe 9 yards, and then
going.
20 yards down the field, he's still on his feet.
That's why they tell you not to stop your legs, man. Keep chopping until the whistle goes.
True Robinson checking into the game at running back. Looked like sophomore Dylan Bellamy was banged up a little on that first play. So 1st and 10 Trojans. Cobb in motion. He's got the speed sweep. He's got some running room. He's still on his feet. J.J. Cobb might score. He does. No laundry on the field. A 36-yard touchdown pass, in air quotes, from Monzel Campbell to J.J. Cobb. And Mike, it took Chapel Hill 7.5 minutes to get a 7-0 lead, and West Brunswick in about 40 seconds has a chance to tie the game here early in the first.
I think that was 2 plays, Sam.
2 plays. A 25-yard quarterback draw and a 39-yard pitch and catch from Campbell to J.J. Cobb on the speed sweep. Weston Sharp, the long snapper. Alex Gore, the holder. Locke Murphy handles the kicking duties. Murphy's kick is up and good, and we're all knotted up. Boy, what a game. What a start. Each team has had the ball once, and each team has scored a touchdown. It is 7-7 here in the first round of the state playoffs on ATMC TV. So a 4-yard touchdown pass from Caleb Kelly to number 33, Ben Yates for Chapel Hill. For West Brunswick, it was Monzel Campbell to J.J. Cobb for 39 yards and a score. Each team converted their extra point opportunities, and it's all knotted up at 7 with 3:50 left in the first quarter. We saw that connection in West Brunswick's final game of the regular season. Monzel Campbell threw 3 touchdown passes to J.J. Cobb in the last week of the season against county rival South Brunswick. Murphy's kick much shorter this time, fielded cleanly by the Tigers. got a little bit of running room across the 30-yard line. That's the tailback, the kick returner, number 11, Jalen Mitchell, brought down at the 35-yard line where Chapel Hill will take over 1st and 10.
You think Chapel Hill's offense had enough rest?
They're coming back out there pretty quickly. They got about, 40 seconds of game clock and maybe 2 minutes of real time, and they're back out there. But the way they hummed along on that first drive, they're probably chomping at the bit to get back on the field.
They were hot, Sam, that is for sure.
So 1st and 10 from the 35-yard line. Kelly's in the shotgun. Mitchell joins him in the backfield. Got a man in motion. Handoff around the right side. Good tackle there by number 44, Carter Wyatt, but not before Mitchell picked up 5 yards on 1st and 10. So again, Chapel Hill finding a lot of running room and some seams there. A big offensive line, probably the second biggest offensive line West has faced this season after Hoggard sets up a 2nd and 5 from the 40-yard line. Another handoff.
Looks like the same play, just to the left, Sam.
Yep. Pretty much ran the same play, but this time to the left side of the offensive line. Once again, number 44, Carter Wyatt, brought down Mitchell. And it is a 1st down. It is a 1st down. The Tigers needed the 45-yard line for a 1st down, and the nose of the football is just on it. So back-to-back running plays net 5 yards each, and the Tigers have another 1st down.
So far in both these drives, it really just seems like an all or nothing. You know, it's 5 yards or -5 for Chapel Hill.
So Chapel Hill and West Brunswick look similar. They look to the sideline, get the play, and then line up and go. I believe we're going to have a delay of game, Mike. We wait on the call from the White Hat. It is a delay of game penalty, so Chapel Hill took a little too much time getting that play in and getting set up on the line and snapping the ball. So instead of a 1st and 10, it will be a 1st and 15 from the 40-yard line of the Tigers.
That's definitely one of the downsides of doing it that way, Sam, is if you just don't get it efficiently enough in, you kind of get penalized for it.
Two receivers to the top of your screen, one to the bottom. Mitchell in the backfield with Kelly. It's going to be a handoff around the left side. West Brunswick is there, does a pretty good job. Alex Gore did a good job. He didn't make the tackle, but he kind of forced the running back to cut back inside, and that's where the defensive help was. So they tackle Mitchell after a gain of 3 yards, setting up a 2nd and 12 from the 43-yard line.
No, he really did a good job not getting hooked by that offensive blocker and kind of forced that running back right back into his defenders.
So 2:05 left in the opening frame. Chapel Hill 7, West Brunswick 7. It's the first round of the 3AA state playoffs. Play clock getting down again. Chapel Hill trying to set up the screen. Tyleek Webb chasing Kelly down. And finally, Kelly was brought down at the 46-yard line. So a gain of about 3 yards is going to set up a 3rd and 9 from the 46 near midfield.
Seemed like on the first drive, those are the things that just kept getting behind the West line. So it's either, you know, West is making some good in-quarter adjustments, or Chapel Hill's just not finding those seams.
Looked like that time Chapel Hill was trying to set up a screen to someone out of the backfield. West had it well covered, and so Kelly's only choice was to kind of tuck it and run with it. So let's see if West Brunswick can get off the field here on 3rd down with 1:45 left in the first quarter. Oh, that's going to be a hold. And it might get picked off. Wow, it was caught there by Johnny Magby, but out of bounds, nearly picked off by number 14, Patrick Vereen. So, Mike, do you decline this? Decline this penalty, and it'll be 4th and 9 from the 46. And, you know, the hope is that, you know, you force Chapel Hill to punt.
Sam, he slammed that guy.
Yeah, that was a wrestling takedown.
That looked like Bastion Booger back in '93 in the WWF.
Man, another wrestling fan on the call tonight. I love it. I don't know if Aaron has told you this, but my 4-year-old son is infatuated with wrestling. So, but the ones I've shown him are from my era. So, like, if you ask him who his favorites are, and I don't know if he's still around, but like The Undertaker and Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock, you know, he knows Braun Strowman and Batista and, you know, some of those guys, but he's definitely like a mid-'90s kid at heart.
Yeah, you got to get him watching AEW, man. I'm a big Dax Harwood FTR fan.
Okay, I'm going to write that down before we leave tonight. Well, on the field, it's a 4th and 9 for Chapel Hill.
Oh,
I think it may have got deflected. I think it did get deflected. Rolls out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Number 22, True Robinson, got there and I think got a piece of it. So only, let's see, 4 and 15, only a 19-yard punt there that was partially blocked. And after Chapel Hill marched down the field and scored on that first drive, it had to feel good for the West Brunswick defense to come up with a stop right there.
Well, and if you go off the time it took them to score earlier, they might have time to put 1 or 2 away now.
In the first quarter, yeah. First scoring drive for West Brunswick was 43 seconds. Monzel Campbell, 25-yard quarterback draw, and then J.J. Cobb scored from 36 yards out. They're going to keep it in Campbell's hands. He's still on his feet.
That kid drives his
feet, man. Tell you, Campbell is running like a man possessed out there tonight. Picks up 13 yards and a first down to the West Brunswick 48.
You think they do the shovel pass again?
I think we'll see it probably 5, 6, 7 more times before the game is over. Chapel Hill wants a timeout on defense. With 1:20 left in the first quarter, we're all knotted up at 7. Again, it's the first round of the state playoffs. If you win, you advance to the second round. If you lose, your season is over. Playoff football in North Carolina in mid-April, the day after tax day. Not sure I'll ever get used to that. It may be the only time we ever do see it. But, oh, well, normally tax day, April 15th. Maybe it got extended. It did, in fact, get extended. So 1:20 left in the first quarter. West Brunswick 7, Chapel Hill 7. Mike, West Brunswick's run 3 offensive plays and covered about 75 yards in those 3 plays.
It's very impressive. I'm hoping they can maintain the efficiency that they're having so far.
Probably averaging about 20 yards per play right now, or 25 for that matter. 1st and 10 from the 48-yard line. This time they're going to give it to Bellamy. Dylan Bellamy with a big gain all the way inside the 45-yard line. Tackled at the 41-yard line. The tackle by number 54, Gabe Bollinger. But West Brunswick finding all kinds of running room here. That's back-to-back first down carries, one by Campbell, one by Bellamy.
Sam, that was a great play. I think it could have been better, man. He beat his pulling guard into the hole.
Oh, wow.
If he would have just held up just a second, I think that guy might have made the clean block. He could have probably scored. I'm a guard, though. So
yeah, maybe that pulling guard could have got to Bollinger before he made the tackle. 1st and 10 from the 41-yard line. Campbell's just going to take off and run with it. Oh, and lost his helmet there. So, Mike, if I'm not mistaken, Monzel Campbell's going to have to come off the field here. If you lose your helmet in high school football, you have to come off the field for a play unless West Brunswick wants to call a timeout. I think the Trojans can call a timeout and get Campbell back into the game. But
it's similar to the NCAA rule then, right?
Yep, Patrick Vereen, who started the year at quarterback before handing the reins over to Monzel Campbell, is going to come on the field. Play clock still at 25. The game clock is running again. So West will have to snap the ball here on 2nd and 8 from the 39 before the first quarter comes to an end. Vereen in the shotgun with Bellamy. Oh, a good run by Bellamy. Look, he's still on his feet, Mike. Wow. All the way to the 31-yard line. Incidentally, the tackle made by number 31, how about this name? Jeremy Breeze. What a great last name. Bellamy, and Mike, you said it early, just keep those legs moving, those legs churning. That's exactly what Bellamy did there, and he's rewarded with a first down to the 31-yard line.
And you notice, the guys on the offensive line were just driving their feet too, man, opening up that gap.
Yep, you keep moving those feet, and good things happen. We are going to take a break here on ATMC TV with the score, Chapel Hill 7, West Brunswick 7 in the first round of the state playoffs. We're back for the start of the second quarter, an evenly matched opening 12 minutes. Each team scored a touchdown on its first possession. West Brunswick trying to score again. Monzel Campbell in the shotgun, runs around the left side. He's still on his feet, finally brought down inside the 10-yard line at the 5-yard line of the Tigers. A 26-yard gain by Monzel Campbell, and the Trojans set up with a first and goal at the 5-yard line.
When you got a fast quarterback like that, man, if you spread it out wide, he's got a big old gap right around that corner, man.
Yeah, and Mike, every other time he kind of ran through between the tackles. That time he just carried it around the left side, and there was no one there.
It's a jab, jab, hook kind of thing, man.
First wrestling, now boxing.
Hey, let's go.
Well, MMA's next. I guess jab, jab, hook could be MMA too. Man in motion. Campbell fakes the handoff. He's going to score. Monzel Campbell skips across the goal line for a Trojan touchdown. And with 11:26 left before halftime, the Trojans have taken a 13-7 lead. Mike, they made that look pretty easy,
honestly,
pal.
It's interesting because of the size of Chapel Hill. You'd expect them to kind of fill some gaps a little bit more aggressively.
Yeah, I mean, he was untouched there. I don't think anyone got a paw on him. Locke Murphy on to attempt the extra point for West Brunswick. Now kicking into the wind. A good snap. The hold is down. The kick is kind of mishit, but guess what? It went through, and it counts just the same. I think Murphy, in golfing terms, he called that one fat, but it got the job done. So, Mike, 14-7 early in the second quarter. West Brunswick Trojans have scored both times they had the ball, but we're gonna throw a change up here. And our viewers know so much about our regular color analyst, Jay Combs, and a lot about me because I talk too much. Why don't you tell the folks watching a little bit about yourself? Were you a football player growing up?
I grew up in Northeast Ohio, played high school and college football up there, offense, defensive line.
I didn't know you played college football.
I dabbled a little bit.
Okay.
I play rugby now. It's a nice athletic.
This is a grown man, folks. I know y'all can't see him, but he's 6'4", what, 290, 280?
Yeah, I'm pushing 290 with that COVID-19.
Oh, hey, I mean, not 290, but I know the weight gain feeling. This man's a beast, folks. Again, I know you can't see him, but man, I feel much smaller calling games with Mike Moore than I do Jay. So a squib kick that time into the wind. Oh, he's got room. Oh man, Carter Wyatt may have saved a touchdown there as number 2, Kyle Jones, looked like he might have room toward the West Brunswick sideline to get loose and take that one to the house. But Carter Wyatt slowed him down just long enough to bring him down at the 39-yard line, about a 34-yard kick return there. And Chapel Hill with good starting field position. 1st and 10 at its own 39. 11:18 left in the first. It's West Brunswick 14, Chapel Hill 7. Chapel Hill scored first, and West Brunswick scored a touchdown, forced a stop, and then scored again to take a 7-point lead.
Chapel Hill's first 2 drives were kind of opposites, weren't they? So they.
Oh, number 4, Caden Forbes is a sophomore running back, and he tried to bounce it off the left tackle there, but lost his footing and was dropped at the 37-yard line for a loss of 2 to set up a 2nd and 12 from the 37.
And that's kind of how their second drive of the game started compared to that first one where they just chewed it out.
So again, Kelly lines up and then looks to the sideline for the play call. Now giving signals to his wide receivers. 2nd and 12. He looks out to the left. Pass is caught. That's number 2, Jones. I'm telling you, folks, this number 2, Khalil Jones, he is a player. If you don't know his name before tonight, you sure will after the game is over. So West Brunswick not able to capitalize on forcing Chapel Hill into a 2nd and 12 situation. Kelly finds Jones for a gain of about 14 and a first down.
Gutsy throw by Kelly. Jones was covered with 2 guys.
Yep. Number 44, Carter Wyatt there. We've already called his name about 5 or 6 times. He was in on the tackle. Man in motion. I think they're setting up a screen again, Mike. Oh, True Robinson got to him. I don't think Kelly ever saw him, Mike. And True Robinson just kept running. Kelly held on to it, and finally he was sacked way back at the 42-yard line for a loss of 9 yards to set up a 2nd and 19.
If he did see it, deer in the headlights, man. He froze.
Boy, Robinson was coming fast. I can't believe how fast he closed there. But, you know, Trojan fans, don't get too excited just yet. Chapel Hill's already converted a 2nd and 12, a 3rd and 18, a couple of 4th down plays. So still some work to do on the defensive end for the Trojans. Kelly rolls out to the right. Oh, there's Carter Wyatt. So this time the pass was complete to number 22, Malachi Corbett. It was for positive yardage, but a very minimal gain on 2nd down. Mike, I'm going to go 3rd and 17 from the 44-yard line.
Corbett was one of the guys in the first quarter that leaked out and had a couple big gains. So
yeah, sure did.
Not too successful on that play, though.
Wyatt showing off some pretty impressive closing speed there. It looked like Corbett may have a little room to run, and then Wyatt was all over him. Wyatt, a junior linebacker with several Division I offers already, including from Yale, Syracuse, Georgia Tech. Kelly rolls out to his left. Oh, I tell you, the corner over there, number 8, Tupac Coogee, he did a great job, Mike. I know Jones caught the pass, but he was trying to slip the tackle and may have had enough room to get a first down, but Coogee held on to him for dear life until finally Jones stepped out of bounds. The pass was good for 6 and 4, 10 yards, but it's still going to be a 4th and 7 from the 46-yard line of West Brunswick. Do you think Chapel Hill keeps the offense on the field here and goes for it, or do you bring on the punt team?
I know it's kind of early, but I feel like Chapel Hill kind of has to. The way West has been able to kind of burn through clock and yards, man.
Right. You know, you think maybe if you're on the Chapel Hill coaching staff, well, West has scored pretty easily both times they've had the ball. We're going to have to score to keep up with them. So you've got the ball at the 46-yard line. This is why Chapel Hill's head coach, Isaac Marsh, gets paid the big bucks, and I'm up here wearing a headset talking for ATMC TV.
What I would say is, you know, I think we're going to start seeing Kelly trying to feed it a lot more through those tight windows to number 2, just like the last play.
Yeah.
I mean, he was covered again.
Yeah, Coogee was right on him. It looks like they are going to keep the offense on the field, Mike. So with 8:27 left before halftime, Chapel Hill faces a 4th and 7. The Tigers need the 39 as the line to gain, and Chapel Hill leaving the offense on the field. It is incomplete. Are there any flags on the field? It looks like there are no flags on the field. Pass off the hands of the intended receiver, Tavon Page, and it's going to be West Brunswick football. The gamble doesn't pay off, Mike, and now the flip side of that coin is now West Brunswick takes over with the ball near midfield.
Yeah, West is going to probably try to really capitalize on this and kind of turn the tables. Chapel Hill's receiver wide open.
Yeah. He had it. If he could have secured the catch, I'm pretty certain he had enough room to get a first down. 8:19 left before halftime. West up by a touchdown. Snap to Campbell. Tackle by number 52, Young Key Ellison.
I think that was Ben
and
Yates.
33, Ben Yates. So Campbell stopped. I think that was West Brunswick's least productive play of the first half, and Campbell was still able to scramble for about 4 yards to set up a 2nd and 6 here. Ball marked right at midfield.
Yeah, if a 4-yard play is on your short list of bad plays, I think you're doing pretty good.
This is going to be quarterback power around the left side. Campbell still on his feet, fighting for the first down yardage. Tackle by number 5, Tavon Page. Monzel Campbell, enough for a West Brunswick first down inside the 45-yard line, brought down at the 43. Not so sure about that spot there. I thought he was a little bit closer to the 41.5, maybe the 42, but that's neither here nor there. 1st and 10 for the Trojans. 7.5 minutes left in the second quarter. 3 receivers to the top of your screen. Magby set up as kind of the H-back here on the bottom of your screen. Uh-oh.
Chapel Hill sniffed that one out, man.
Just go down. Yeah. Loss of about 7 yards on the pop pass from Monzel Campbell to Johnny Magby. And then the momentum that West Brunswick had after the Campbell's run for a first down completely lost right there. Mike, it's going to be a 2nd and 17 from the 50-yard line. So West Brunswick had been humming right along until that play there.
It looked like they tried to get a little too fancy.
Yeah.
But here they go, spreading it out wide again here. This is that play they got like 20 yards on with that quarterback end around.
6.5 minutes left before halftime. Ball was faked to J.J. Cobb and then intended for Johnny Magby, but falls incomplete. And, Mike, just not a whole lot of plays in the playbook for 3rd and 17 here. Let's see what the Trojans come up with.
Honestly, QB sneak.
Yeah, I might just run the quarterback power, and if he gets stopped, punt it away and bring your defense that's made 2 straight stops back onto the field. You want to capitalize on the opportunity. West had a 1st and 10 at the 43-yard line and then went backwards on 1st and 10.
In golf, we call it taking your medicine.
That was a good shovel pass from Monzel Campbell to number 11, Johnny Magby. And it's going to be decision time now for West Brunswick head coach Brett Hickman, who also doubles as my older brother. 4th and 9 at the 42. West, he jumped off sides.
4th and 5.
So now the ball's going to be inside the 40-yard line, and it's going to be a more manageable 4th and 4. Now I think you keep the offense on the field and go for it. It is offsides. It is against the Chapel Hill Tigers. So the ball is going to be marked at the 37-yard line. West needs the 33 for a first down. So, say with full confidence they're going for it. I'm just interested to see what play they call. I think they probably keep it in Campbell's hands.
I try to draw them offsides again.
Oh, yeah, great call. Great call.
6 minutes left, 3 timeouts.
Campbell's got enough for the first down and then some. Inside the 25, brought down at the 23-yard line. Monzel Campbell, 15 yards and a West Brunswick first down. Mike, that was actually a great point. You just did it to them, so the last thing they're probably expecting is, they're going to try and draw me off sides again. That would have been a great time for it. I got to put that one in my memory bank. You're way too good at this to have just done it, tonight?
Well,
your first time?
Your brother's better than I am because he just got a first down.
Well, Yeah, he did, but your plan would have worked too. So 1st and 10 at the 23-yard line. Campbell in the shotgun. Oh, he swallowed up number 54, Gabe Bollinger, and I think I saw big 74, Marquette Bowers, in there on the tackle. So no gain. Ellison was also there on the tackle for the Tigers. So approaching the 5-minute mark of the second quarter, it's West Brunswick 14, Chapel Hill 7. Again, both teams finished the regular season with 5-1 records. First round of the State 3 AA playoffs. Campbell in the shotgun, flanked by Magby. 2 receivers to the bottom, 1 to the top. Magby on the carry. He's got running room. Still on his feet, inside the 20. Dropped at the 17-yard line. A gain of 6 yards will set up a 3rd and 4 ball at the 17-yard line.
West just keeps chipping away, man. Looking good, especially when they had that, 3rd and
17.
Yeah.
Shovel pass for 9 yards and then an offside penalty, and then you convert on 4th down. So don't see that in every game, but it worked for the Trojans here. Play clock down to 10 seconds. 3rd and 4.
That looked like a great play, just kind of bounced it off the ground.
Yeah, they had Locke Murphy there. He was there and all kinds of room to run, and Campbell threw it at his feet. So a golden opportunity goes by the wayside there for West Brunswick. But they're going to line up and go for it again. It's 4th and 4, ball at the 17-yard line.
Campbell's been running. His arm's probably just a little cold, man.
Yeah, good point. West hasn't thrown it much tonight at all. I think the Trojans may call a timeout here as the play clock gets a little closer to 1. Yep, that's exactly what West Brunswick is going to do. The Trojans want a timeout. 4:07 left in the second quarter, and what a critical juncture of the game this is. If West Brunswick could somehow gain a first down here and then add a touchdown, it would be 20 or 21-7, getting late in the first half, and the Trojans will receive the ball for the opening kickoff of the second half. So West Brunswick has a real chance here to really seize momentum.
I was going to say this play is going to be a big momentum swing, because if they can give it back to Chapel Hill, who knows what Chapel Hill can do in 4 minutes. Worst case, maybe they burn out the clock and they only go in the halftime down 7.
Special thanks to Howard Varnum for tuning in to tonight's game. Mr. Howard and Miss Barbara, some of our biggest fans. I think they know someone on the production team. Mr. Howard can't wait to see what the Trojans call here on 4th and 4 from the 17-yard line. The Trojans need to get to the 13-yard line for a first down.
It's like Chapel Hill's crowding the line.
They are. It's going to be a first down. Campbell all the way inside the 13, dropped right at the 10-yard line. Boy, Mike, there's been so many 4th down plays where the teams are going for it. It's been great entertainment. Maybe not so much for my heart rate. But boy,
Chapel Hill had everybody in every gap but that outside tackle spot, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny. West lined all 3 receivers up to the bottom of the screen and then ran to the weak side, where there were only offensive linemen. But West has a 1st and goal at the 10-yard line. Johnny Magby's got it. Still on his feet. Magby's going to score. No flags on the field. And the Trojans have a 20-7 lead. Senior running back Johnny Magby from 10 yards out. Rushing touchdown with 3:37 left in the first half. The Trojans have a 20-7 lead.
Hey, shout out to West's offensive line. Opening holes, making gains on 4th down. Can't do it without them.
Spoken like a true offensive lineman right there, Mike. Hold is down. Kick is up. Locke Murphy's kick is perfect. Just pierced through a considerable wind. Has died down a little bit, but a great kick. And West Brunswick leads 21-7. 3.5 minutes left before halftime. Mike, after the way this game started, with Chapel Hill going right down the field, 80 yards, and 7.5 minutes to open the game, I think there was a lot of people on the home side wondering, uh-oh, this team's pretty good. But since then, it has been all Trojans. West has had the ball 3 times in the first half and scored touchdowns on every possession.
Yeah, Chapel Hill going to have to figure something out.
Hey, I'm going to go out on a limb and make a prediction. I don't think West is going to kick it deep this time. I think Jones was so close to breaking that last kickoff return. I bet West goes for some kind of short pooch kick to these guys right there about the 30-yard line. Even if the Trojans sacrifice some field position, I think they're going to want to keep it out of Jones' hands. Now watch me be dead wrong.
I was going to say, is that insider information?
No.
You got hand signals down to your brother?
No, yep, and that shows you exactly how much I know. Just like I said, Murphy kicks it all the way through the end zone for a touchback, forcing Chapel Hill to start at its own 20-yard line. Again, folks, that's why I'm up here, and the coaches are paid to make those decisions. 1st and 10, Chapel Hill at its own 20. Boy, Mike, just like you said, when West Brunswick still had the ball, plenty of time for Chapel Hill here late in the first half. The Tigers suddenly find themselves down by 2 touchdowns. It'll be a critical juncture of the game for the West Brunswick defense to try to come up with a stop here before the break.
Chapel Hill's going to have to go to that Kelly Jones connection.
There's no one on the top receiver over there.
And
Boy,
Chapel Hill didn't see it.
West Brunswick just got so lucky. There was no cornerback covering the top receiver. None.
I think that's how worried they are of number 2. He's wide open again.
There was no one over there.
Is that a sideline warning?
A sideline warning against the Trojans. I think the first time, I may be wrong, but I thought the first time it's not a penalty. The second time it'll be 15 yards. Yeah, I think they got it fixed. I think they got it. There's still confusion. There's still confusion as to, lining up on defense. So the winner of this game will face the winner of the Southeast Guilford-Clayton first-round game. Right now, Southeast Guilford leads Clayton 3-0. So we'll try to keep you posted as best we can on that game. Again, Southeast Guilford, the 2 seed, leads Clayton 3-0. Kelly barking out instructions to his offensive line. 2:45 on the game clock.
West.
Kelly keeps it. True Robinson read it the whole way. Dropped Caleb Kelly for a loss of about 6 yards. So whatever the audible was, True Robinson was all over it, slung Kelly to the turf for a stop. Ball marked at the 21-yard line, sets up a 3rd and 9 for the Chapel Hill High School Tigers.
West is heavily shading Jones. They definitely don't want him to get the ball.
2:15 showing on the game clock, 3rd and 9. Chapel Hill needs the 30-yard line as the line to gain. 5 receivers on the field for the Tigers. Pass caught by Jones. Sorry, I got shielded by the referee just like some of the West Brunswick would-be tacklers were, and a big conversion of about 14 yards and a first down for Chapel Hill. Oh, a big hit, 44, Carter Wyatt.
Interesting decision to go quick and then just run it up the middle there.
Yeah, it looked like let's get to the line of scrimmage and try to, push the ball down the field. Still plenty of time for Chapel Hill. 1 minute and 35 seconds left in the first half. West Brunswick trying to stop the Tigers before the break, and Chapel Hill trying desperately to get some points on the board. Man in motion. The give is to the back. West Brunswick's all over it. The ball carrier lost his footing. That was number 24, Anton Enoch, the senior, 5'11", 175-pound athlete. And that's a loss of about 5 or 6 yards, and that will set up a 3rd and 10 from the 35-yard line of Chapel Hill. The Tigers want a timeout to talk this one over. West Brunswick 21, Chapel Hill 7. So Mike, Chapel Hill trying to advance the ball down the field to get some points before halftime, but a couple times this possession have went backwards.
Yeah, it's not ideal. It's not what they're looking for. I'm sure they're trying to, open it up. And, they had that interesting play call where they went quick right up the middle, probably trying to catch West off guard.
Yep.
But West heavily shading number 2. And
he's still making catches.
He's still making catches.
Yards.
And somebody else from Chapel Hill is probably going to have to step up and make that big play if they want to try to stay in it, especially before half. It was interesting. We had an umpire screen on the one play and then the turf monster on the other.
That's right. Some weird things happening in playoff football tonight. So 1:10 left in the second quarter. West Brunswick 21, Chapel Hill 7. The Tigers trying to keep this drive alive. It's 3rd and 10. Kelly in the shotgun. Trick play. Trip Hardy was all over it. Makes a great play. The senior linebacker, Trip Hardy, with a big stop. We got a flag on the field at about the 31-yard line. It looks like it's going to be against Chapel Hill because the West Brunswick coaching staff was signaling to the officials to decline it. And I think the result of the play is going to be a 4th and 10 with the ball marked at the 35-yard line. Some trickery there by Chapel Hill, but West all over it. And senior linebacker Trip Hardy made a heck of a play stopping Jones.
Chapel Hill doing their best to get the ball in Jones' hand.
Yeah.
Reverse was snuffed out pretty quick there on the line of scrimmage.
Man, when they ran it off to this side and then flipped it and I saw that number 2, I thought, uh-oh. It's never good when he's got space and the ball in his hands, but West had it defended really well.
Good awareness on the defensive lineman for West. There's defensive lineman, bootleg counter reverse is what they teach you when you're defensive end. And they stayed home and they made the play.
Now, Mike, even though it's taught to you that way and probably drilled in you, after years and years of football, human instincts also kick in sometimes, and you just want to chase the ball. How hard is it to stay disciplined and stay where you're supposed to be?
I mean, it's all about practice and drilling, and if you get a coach, that's in your ear the whole time, you eventually do learn it.
A good snap, a high, short-ish kick, takes a fortuitous West Brunswick bounce, and then a little Chapel Hill roll down at the 31-yard line. So a 34-yard punt by the senior kicker and punter, Nolan Westrom. Again, Westrom made a 40-yard, game-winning 40-yard field goal as time expired to beat Orange in the final week of the regular season, and that win clinched Chapel Hill's playoff berth. So, boy, they won a dramatic game to get into the playoffs. It'll be interesting with West getting the ball after halftime. How aggressive do the Trojans want to be here on 1st and 10? And Chapel Hill only has one timeout left, so in theory, West could take 2 knees and go into halftime with a 2-touchdown advantage.
Sam, we got 53 seconds left in the first half. I think that was our first punt.
Yeah, well, West partially blocked one earlier. Oh, this is dangerous. Campbell still on his feet, finally shoved out of bounds at the 46-yard line, a gain of 15 yards and a West Brunswick first down. And now it'll be interesting to see as they got the ball near midfield if the Trojans get a little more aggressive with it. And remember, West Brunswick has a place kicker in Locke Murphy who's got a pretty strong leg. I'm not sure exactly what his range would be kicking into this win, but
I saw him making 25 going in this direction.
Locke Murphy tackled after a pass and catch of 1 yard. Game clock still ticking down to about 30 seconds left.
Not a lot of hurry in West.
And, Mike, as conservative as I am, I like it. Avoid the catastrophic mistake. Take the 2-touchdown lead into the halftime break because you get the ball after the break, and you want to make sure, worst-case scenario, that you go into the locker room up 21-7, and that's exactly what the Trojans are going to do here. Mike, first half impressions. What'd you think?
West looking strong defensive and offensively, creating big holes, running right up the center, man.
Yep, a strong first half by West Brunswick and a great early response after Chapel Hill scored on its first possession. After 24 minutes of game action, it's West Brunswick 21, Chapel Hill 7 on ATMC TV. And we're back, ready for the start of the second half on ATMC TV. He's Mike Maurer. I'm Sam Hickman. Mike Maurer. I'm going to get like Joe Maurer, the catcher for the Twins. Mike, I'm so sorry.
I just have an extra R in my name.
Okay, but it's Maurer.
It's how it sounds.
Okay, Mike Maurer. And now I feel like a real jerk. I didn't even know my partner's name for two quarters. But Sam Hickman and Mike Maurer are ready for the second half. West Brunswick will receive the opening kickoff of the second half.
Just like you made a halftime adjustment there, correcting your issues, we're going to be curious to see if Chapel Hill corrected theirs coming out in the second half.
So look at this, Mike Maurer, a perfect kick down the sideline. Johnny Magby looking for running room.
West is out here pancaking kids.
Man, it felt like Johnny Magby just ran about, 50 yards, but really he only got it out to about the 29-yard line. Pretty good return and a good kick by Westrom. Well, West didn't have a second guy kind of over back deep on that side, so the kick rolled around for a good 3 seconds before Johnny Magby got to it. It'll be 1st and 10 West Brunswick at its own 28-yard line.
Yeah, Chapel Hill has a real good opportunity to spread this thing wide open coming in here if they can get a touchdown.
Campbell in the shotgun.
Flag on the field.
Looks like West Brunswick going to be flagged on the, not first snap, but before it can get off its first snap of the second half. No, it's actually against Chapel Hill. The Tigers lined up in the neutral zone. So a 5-yard penalty against Chapel Hill, and instead of 1st and 10, it will be a 1st and 5 for the Trojans from the 33-yard line.
I guess it did kind of look like that outside linebacker on the far side was
in the neutral zone.
Yeah, up a little bit. So I got to check where the ball is, Sam.
Yep. Good eyes there, Mr. Maurer. I'm going to say Maurer as many times as I can in the second half to try and make up for lost time. 1st and 5 from the 33-yard line. Swing pass over to Magby. It's very close to the line to gain. It's going to, as they say, depend on the spot. I think he's going to be a yard shy of the first down marker. No, it's going to be marked at the 38-yard line, and that's exactly where the line to gain is. So we're going to have to wait and see from the officials. It's very close. The line to gain is just past the 38-yard line. Yep, first down. It's a first down. Yeah, the referees are signaling to move the chains.
We've got a good view up here. That definitely looks like a first down to me.
You can see the nose of the football is past the 38, and it's exactly where the marker was for a first down. So 5 yards on the swing pass from Monzel Campbell to Johnny Magby, and the Trojans have a 1st and 10 at their own 38-yard line. .11:40 left in the third quarter. Brett Hickman sending the play in.
West is trying to come off the ball quick.
Johnny Magby across the 40, brought down at the 41-yard line. Tackled by Jeremy Breeze and 33, Ben Yates. Mike, in the West Brunswick or Chapel Hill plays the winner of the Clayton Southeast Guilford game. Clayton has taken a 14-3 lead over Southeast Guilford in that first round matchup. But first things first, West Brunswick faces a 2nd and 7 from the 41-yard line. 10 minutes and 50 seconds left here in the third quarter. Much better job on the defensive line that time. That was a pretty good job by the Tigers, stopping Monzel Campbell 3 yards shy of the line to gain. I believe that was 54 Gabe Bollinger and 52 young Kia Ellison on the tackle. So, boy, Mike, talk about a big play. West is facing a 3rd and 3 from its 45-yard line. The Trojans need the 48 for a first down.
With the way West has been playing, though, I would say this is more 3rd and reasonable, really.
Yeah.
Looked like a false start on West. Didn't get called there.
Play clock getting down. Campbell's got it. Still on his feet, enough for a first down.
It's like the trends from the first half continue into the second, Sam.
Yep, so Chapel Hill doing a good job, you know, tackling Campbell when they get the chance. Some of those carries in the first half were turning into 15, 20, 25-yard gains. Nevertheless, if you're West Brunswick, you got to like the result. You've got the game clock down in the third quarter to the 9-minute, 40-second mark or nearabouts, and have a 1st and 10 from the Chapel Hill side of the field. The ball's marked at the 49-yard line.
You know, we said at the beginning of the game it would be interesting to see how the schemes match up. West is really just kind of eating away with these 3 down linemen from Chapel Hill, finding gaps and, you know, making yards.
Sophomore Dylan Bellamy brought down there at the 47-yard line. A gain of 2 yards will set up a 2nd and 8 from the 47. So, Mike, if we don't count that last possession of the first half where West got it back with like 50 seconds left and just ran the clock out, West has had the ball for 3 possessions and they scored touchdowns on all 3 drives. So the Trojans trying to keep that streak alive here on the first possession of the second half. It'll be a 2nd and 8, ball at the 47-yard line, play clock getting low. 3-yard gain that time by the quarterback, Monzel Campbell.
It really feels like West is just trying to see if Chapel Hill can stop them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're just going to keep grinding out the clock.
Yeah, they're going to run it at them and you know, make Chapel Hill stop them. The ball is marked at about the 44.5-yard line. So it's a 3rd and a long 5, maybe a short 6. 8:15 left in the third quarter. Stop. Well short.
Chapel Hill brought everybody on that one.
Chapel Hill brought the kitchen sink. West Brunswick looks like they're going to keep the offense on the field, maybe see if they can draw Chapel Hill offside here.
Here's the thing. If Chapel Hill's willing to kind of give up their linebacker space and bring them up to the line like that, you can look for West to just dump it right over the top.
Yep, and that's something West did really well last week at South Brunswick. We're going to see what the Trojans do here.
Oh.
And now it makes the decision easy. West is going to send on the punt team, and Chapel Hill comes up with a much-needed stop on the first possession of the second half.
Interesting to see how this kick goes. The wind kind of died down after the sun went down, Sam. Might be making it easier to kind of pin him in the corner.
Yep, this is the way you wanted to be kicking in the first half. The wind was helping. If you were moving, you know, left to right on the screen, the wind was really helping. Weston Sharp, the long snapper. Locke Murphy handles the punting duties.
Great snap.
It's a good snap. The kick is away. It's high, it's short, it's angled out of bounds. That's
interesting to see where it's
not a great effort there. I think it's going to be marked out near the 30-yard line.
Flag on the field.
Looking like a West player is getting kind of heated. Curious what that flag's for.
It's going to be an unsportsmanlike of some kind against West Brunswick. It appears. So it's holding against Chapel Hill, and then a dead ball unsportsmanlike against West Brunswick. So maybe mark off 10 yards from the end. So ball back to the 20, but then mark off 15 this way. So I think the ball will be marked at about the 35-yard line. Yep, so 10-yard penalty against Chapel Hill and then a 15-yard penalty against West Brunswick. All of that results in a 1st and 10 for Chapel Hill at its own 35-yard line. So a huge stop on the first possession of the second half for Chapel Hill. It's the first time really tonight the Chapel Hill defense has forced – it is the first time Chapel Hill's forced a West Brunswick punt, and now it's the West Brunswick defense's chance to come up with a stop of its own.
Just like the first half, though, another opening drive kind of chewing through most of the clock.
Kelly keeps it, still on his feet. Boy, that was 44 Carter Wyatt there. He attacked the dive there and went straight for the running back. The quarterback pulled it, and there was no one home for the West Brunswick Trojans. So a gain of 17 yards on 1st and 10, and Chapel Hill suddenly in business. You know, they're down by 2 scores, but got the ball in West Brunswick territory after only 1 play on this drive.
Yeah, just like the first half, looks like it's going to be Kelly and Jones going to be trying to make something happen for Chapel Hill.
Pass complete to number 3, Cameron Walker. A gain of about 5 yards to the 42-yard line. 6 yards, rather, from the 48 to the 42. Sets up a 2nd and 4 from the 42-yard line. Six minutes and 46 seconds left in the third quarter. Jones is in motion.
Good misdirection when they brought Jones across there. Everybody bid onto him and let that open gap wide open.
And he demands so much attention, you know. You take eyeballs off of him, and then Chapel Hill runs it right at you. And the Tigers have a 1st and 10 inside West Brunswick's 35-yard line. It's 1st and 10 at the 34, 6.5 minutes left to go in the third. Mike West has got a DB that's about 3 yards in the backfield. Oh, a low snap. Kelly under duress. A good hit there by number 4, Michael Simpson.
Cameron Walker making plays in the second half.
Cameron Walker makes a nice catch all the way inside the 30 to the 28-yard line. Another gain of 6 on 1st down sets up a very manageable 2nd and 4 situation from the 28. See, habits.
Call me Big Mike,
hard.
Sam.
Big Mike, just like the start of the game, it's been all Chapel Hill at the start of the third.
They're definitely keeping the ball moving, which is what they struggled to do at the second part of that first half.
Nice throw from Caleb Kelly to number 2, Khalil Jones. And it is a 1st and 10 inside the 20-yard line. Chapel Hill with a 1st and 10 at the 19.
Another double coverage and completion to Jones. And again, West was all over him.
Yep.
Kelly's just threading that needle right to him.
Good coverage there. Just a good throw by the quarterback, Caleb Kelly, the junior quarterback, to his senior receiver, Khalil Jones. And Chapel Hill 19 yards away from making this a 1-score game.
You know, West was going to try to come out and really open it up if they could have got that possession. Chapel Hill played good defense, got the ball back, driving now. They could make a game of it if they get a touchdown here.
Yeah, West Brunswick really had a golden opportunity to really put a stranglehold on this game. A score on that possession would have put West up by 3 touchdowns. Instead, Chapel Hill comes up with a big stop and then marches the ball down the field. And again, a chance 19 yards away from pulling within 1 score, and still a quarter and a half left to play.
It's interesting to see Chapel Hill's composure. I'm wondering if they can get that touchdown fighting from the bottom.
Khalil Jones again on the catch from number 15, Caleb Kelly. Patrick Vereen was there to make the stop. Ball marked at the 13-yard line. So again, a gain of 6, setting up a 2nd and 4. Oh, True Robinson, a big play there in the defensive backfield. right at the line of scrimmage. True Robinson comes up with a big stop, and it will be a 3rd and 4 now from the 13-yard line.
Robinson timed that snap absolutely perfectly.
So 3rd and 4 from the 13. 4.5 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. 2 receivers to the top of your screen, 2 to the bottom. Jones in motion. Wide open. Not sure how he gets that wide open, but that was way too easy for Chapel Hill.
It was interesting because they had him lined up on that weak side, and I was curious what they were going to be doing, and the motion kind of played perfectly into the situation that West had. Chapel Hill scores, man.
So a 13-yard touchdown pass from Caleb Kelly to Khalil Jones, and Chapel Hill High School right back in business. Cuts the lead to 8. Nolan Westrom on for the extra point, trying to make it a 7-point game. Good snap, good hold. Kick is up. Kick is perfect. Nearly into the soccer net, and West Brunswick now sees its lead down to 7 points, and we got a late flag and an unsportsmanlike penalty against West Brunswick.
You got to wonder if West was just getting too comfortable with a 2-touchdown lead at halftime. Is that a historical thing for West, Sam?
Well, last week, the coaching staff was none too pleased. At the South Brunswick game, West jumped all over South Brunswick early in the game, had a 24-0 lead at halftime, and then played probably its worst 2 quarters of the season in the second half. Of course, a big difference in a 24-0 game, you know, and the first round of the state playoffs. But, yeah, it just came out after the halftime break with no energy, no focus, some penalties, and now Chapel Hill is going to be kicking this ball off from the 45-yard line. That's 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties on West Brunswick this second half. So in the first 7 minutes and 44 seconds of the half, West Brunswick has 2 unsportsmanlike penalties.
Sometimes the hardest game's between your ears, Sam.
Yep, indeed. Don't I know it?
Just like your golf game, right?
Exactly. Or lack thereof, in my case. So Nolan Westrom could probably kick this one through the uprights if he wanted to. It's a low kick, fielded cleanly by Johnny Magby, but across the goal line, and West Brunswick will take over possession, 1st and 10 at its own 20-yard line, the worst starting field position of the night for the Trojans. And Big Mike, you get the sense that this is a big offensive drive for West Brunswick. Chapel Hill has all the momentum.
That is correct. I think West needs to just kind of grind it out, open holes, running right up the middle, running on the outside, but keep it on the ground. Try to get some of that physicality back that they had in the first half.
Campbell in at quarterback in the shotgun.
Face mask.
Oh, that's going to be 15 more. That's going to be 15 more. That's going to be a face mask penalty against or a horse collar penalty, rather, against Chapel Hill. Cobb marked out of bounds at the 25 or 26-yard line, so the ball is going to be moved out to about the 40 after the personal foul. It was a face mask, actually. It was a 5-yard gain. It's going to turn into a 20-yard gain after the 15-yard penalty is marked off. West will have a 1st and 10 at its own 40-yard line.
He had the corner right up until the guy grabbed his mask.
Yep.
Probably could have made it more than that, honestly.
Yeah, it looked like he had him beat to the sideline there, and then Chapel Hill did a good job getting him to the turf. They just grabbed his face mask to do it. So 1st and 10 at the 40-yard line.
There's the shovel pass.
Oh.
Keep those legs moving. Look at him go.
Johnny Magby all the way inside the 45-yard line on the shovel pass from Monzel Campbell. play looked a little funky from the start, but then Campbell just kind of flipped it ahead to Magby, and it was a gain of 17 yards and a West Brunswick first down. The Trojans with a 1st and 10 at the 43-yard line of the Tigers.
Worked in the first half, might as well try it in the second, especially if you're trying to set that tone.
Big Mike, I don't think anybody blocked him. As soon as Campbell got the snap, big 74.
Marquette Bowers.
Yeah, Marquette Bowers was in the backfield and dropped Campbell for a 2-yard loss, setting up a 2nd and 12 now with about 3.5 minutes left here in the third quarter.
So now's the time when, West should be kind of thinking some of those counter trap plays. If Chapel Hill's coming off the ball that quick and shooting those gaps, it should set up something for up the middle.
Yeah, Chapel Hill, whatever they did at halftime, Big Mike, on defense to stop these outside runs and running plays by Monzel Campbell, it seems to be working. He gained about 3 or 4 yards there, but now West Brunswick forced into a 3rd and 9 situation from the 42-yard line. Again, all the momentum on the side of the Chapel Hill Tigers.
Chapel Hill probably just had that realization. They're down to 2 quarters of high school football left potentially this season.
So 3rd and 9, ball at the 42-yard line, 2:50 on the game clock.
Chapel Hill's just bringing everybody. That was a perfect counter play, but they brought one too many. Didn't have a blocker for him. Ate him right up, man.
Yeah, West is going to have to do something to try to loosen them up. I mean, Chapel Hill's playing them now with about 8 guys in the box.
The run game up the middle and around the corner worked so well in the first half, but looks like they're going to have to open it up a little bit.
So for the second consecutive possession here in the second half, West Brunswick moves the ball across midfield, but then nothing going. Good Chapel Hill defense, 3 straight plays, and the Trojans still just nothing going here in the third quarter. A good punt by Murphy.
There you go.
Better outcome than the first time. Bold decision by number 5, Tavon Page, to field that punt there, and he was tackled inside the Chapel Hill 10-yard line, and Chapel Hill is going to have a 1st and 10 at its own 8. But the bigger story here, Chapel Hill's got the ball back, a chance to go 92 yards and tie this football game up. Exactly 2 minutes left in the third quarter, and all Tigers in the first 10 minutes of the period.
Very questionable decision to catch that ball. Normally they tell you put your heels on that line, not go back. Glad he caught it.
Yep, that probably would have bounded into the end zone, and Chapel Hill would have the ball at the 20. But this offense of the Tigers more than capable of moving the ball out from there. We'll see what they do here. It's going to be a running play on first down. Alex Gore and Johnny Magby are there to make the stop. Number 11, the ball carrier, Jalen Mitchell. He got 1 yard out to the 9-yard line, sets up a 2nd and 9 here. Ball is placed at the 9.
You think they risk it and try to throw it over to number 2?
Yes. Yeah, I think there's enough trust there between the coaches and Caleb Kelly and Khalil Jones to
West is playing them off a little bit more than they had been the first half.
Yep, they are.
There it is.
Oh, he dropped it. Malachi Hewitt was there, made a great play on the ball. And, Jay, I think if you're West Brunswick, you caught a huge break there. I think Khalil Jones makes that catch probably 8 times out of 10, if not more.
Well, that was the first time he was single covered and he dropped it.
Yeah,
Caught every time it was in double
coverage. If there
coverage.
was 2 people draped on him over there, he would have come down with it probably. 1:16 left in the third quarter. Chapel Hill faces a 3rd and 9. From its own 9-yard line. Play clock down to 11 seconds. Kelly's in the shotgun. 4 receivers on the field for the Tigers. Kelly rolls out to his right. And he's got Khalil Jones. Boy, West Brunswick just not doing much right here in this third quarter. Had a 3rd and 9 play, and Kelly rolls out, bides time, and and finds an open Khalil Jones for 21 yards and another Chapel Hill first down. And if it wasn't danger territory earlier, it definitely is now for the Trojans.
Yeah, like I said, West was just playing that side off a little bit compared to what they did in the first half. I don't know if they were worried about something else or if they're getting confident, but they might have to go back to double cover now.
22, True Robinson, another big play. He drops the ball carrier in the backfield, a loss of about 2 or 3 yards. Actually, a loss of 3 there sets up a 2nd and 13. And Big Mike, the game clock becoming a little bit of a factor. 25 seconds left here in the third quarter. Chapel Hill down by 7, facing a 2nd and 13.
Yeah, you got to think,
False start. It's a false start.
The way West had been moving the ball, you may get one possession if you don't make this.
Nope. Now the referee's saying that there was no false start penalty. So no 2nd and 18. It'll be 2nd and 13. The clock becoming a factor. Let's see if Chapel Hill tries to get a snap off before the end of the third here. It's going to be tough to now. Nope, they will not. So, Big Mike, we're going to take a short break. We have got a good one brewing here in Charlotte. 12 minutes of game action left, and West Brunswick has a slim 7-point lead over the Chapel Hill Tigers. It's West 21, Chapel Hill 14 on ATMC TV. Big Mike, the teams are coming to our end now where it feels like we can see them a little bit better. They're right in front of us. Chapel Hill faces a 2nd and 13 from its own 27-yard line. This will be the first play of the fourth quarter, so fourth and final quarter. Pass complete from Kelly to number 22, Malachi Corbett. It was complete for about 6 yards, but Chapel Hill still needs about 7 yards for a first down, and it looks like they're going to get on the ball and go quickly.
You think this is 2-down territory already, Sam?
If not, it's close,
well,
and he got a first down.
It won't matter.
On 3rd and 7, caught the West Brunswick defense unprepared. Ran it easily for a first down, and we got a Chapel Hill running back, number 11, Jalen Mitchell, down on the turf.
Wonder if
injured.
he just landed on the ball.
And Big Mike, I don't know. It just feels like there's no life. West Brunswick just hasn't been able to come up with a stop, hasn't been able to after they've moved the ball into Chapel Hill territory, haven't been able to capitalize. They've been held scoreless in the second half. They've given up a 3rd and 9, a 3rd and 7. Jones got wide open on a touchdown here in the third quarter. Just not a whole lot has gone right for the Trojans in the second half.
Yeah, when you compare it to the first half, getting across the 50 twice and having to punt is pretty disappointing compared to the way they were playing, and they were on fire in the first half.
Yep, Chapel Hill made some necessary second half adjustments. But Chapel Hill now 58 yards away from tying this ball game up or potentially taking a lead with a 2-point conversion. Slant route, incomplete. Number 9, Jordan McCall, was over there in coverage. Pass was intended for number 3, Cameron Walker, and that will set up a 2nd and 10 from the Chapel Hill 42.
They've been targeting Walker a fair amount in the second half. I don't know if it's because West has been double coveraging on Jones or not. That's the first one I think he's dropped in the second half.
2nd and 10 from the 42-yard line. Oh, man, Kelly had a man downfield and just could not connect with his receiver, number 3, Cameron Walker. And I don't know how True Robinson missed him initially. It looked like Kelly saw him at the last second, and Robinson tried to hit him high. Kelly was able to stay on his feet and very nearly came up with a big play there near the west sideline.
That's why coaches harp on tackling the hips. Hips don't lie, Sam.
And neither does Shakira.
It is pretty disappointing when you get a guy dead to rights in the backfield and just let him slip out.
Yep. You think that 3rd and 20 would look a lot better than a 3rd and 10 here. 11-14 left. Kelly stays in the pocket. Now he's flushed out. And he's tackled from behind. Number 22, True Robinson, comes up with a huge stop to set up a 4th down. And Big Mike, West Brunswick was desperate for a stop of some kind on that 3rd and 10 play, and they got just what the doctor ordered.
It's kind of a testament to what Chapel Hill's coach feels they're capable of, sending out the punt team.
Yeah, you don't feel so bad doing it now because you've stopped West Brunswick 2 possessions in a row.
If they were playing as well as they were in the first quarter, I don't think Chapel Hill punts here.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, especially not with Chapel Hill's capable offense. I mean, 4th and 9 doesn't feel so, undoable. Jay.
That was interesting, Sam.
And the ball rolled all the way inside the 10-yard line and down at the 7. And Big Mike, what I don't understand is if you're going to make and I don't mean this from the kids' perspective, I mean from the staff's perspective, if you're not going to catch it, why send anyone back there, period, to give it a chance to hit him and, Chapel Hill to recover.
Fair catch. I mean,
yeah.
Something.
Now, West Brunswick has had major issues the last 2 years catching punts.
Well, then, yeah, don't even put a guy back there. Get an extra rusher. Put some pressure on the kid. Don't let him punt it down to the 5.
A good run by Monzel Campbell there. He's all the way, or he's out to about the 13-yard line. And big number 74, Marquette Bowers. We've called his name plenty here tonight, particularly in the second half. He's down, injured on the field for Chapel Hill. So Campbell picked up, Big Mike, about 6 yards there on 1st and 10 to set up a 2nd and 4.
Yeah, it looked pretty good there. I mean, if you're West, you're hoping you can maintain that momentum the rest of the way down the field, chew up the clock. Even just you don't even have to kick if you can do that for 10 more minutes.
Yeah, you got to think, Big Mike, if you're West Brunswick, you want the worst case scenario here to be you at least want to get 3-4 first downs. And then if you have to punt it away from, the 40 or near midfield, at least you've got rid of 3-4 more minutes off the game clock. But West Brunswick, about a 6 or 7 minute scoring drive here would go a long way in pushing the Trojans ticket to the second round. But a lot of football left to play in this one. West should will primarily focus on making sure they get a first down first and then going from there. I will say in every other game so far this season, when Monzel Campbell has carried it enough, once or twice he pops a long one. It may be a missed tackle on the edge or, West blocks it perfectly and there's a seam, but Chapel Hill has to be cognizant of Campbell's running ability and limiting West Brunswick's big play capability.
Yeah, big test for West's offensive line here. Hopefully they can start making holes like they were in the first half or even in just some of the starting drives in the second half.
Yep. Number 72, Declan Savage. He looks like a savage in there. He's a big kid.
They replaced one big guy with another big guy.
And there it is. Monziel Campbell. He might go. He's being run down across the 30. Finally brought down at the 20-yard line. Big Mike, I told you, if he runs it enough, he's liable to break one. And that's the first time this year I've ever seen him get tracked down from behind. I've never seen him get run down until tonight. But a huge sequence there. West Brunswick covers. It went from the 13, that's 37, plus another 30, a 67-yard run by Monziel Campbell, and suddenly the Trojans are in business here with 9.5 minutes left.
Feels like that might have been the jolt of energy that West needed to kind of break out of that funk.
Yeah, but the problem is now your quarterback who runs so much is probably gassed, and that's exactly why West gives it to Magby.
Doesn't matter.
Magby's got a corner. He's inside the 10. Boy, brought down at the 10-yard line. I thought Magby might score right there. He's actually marked down Mike at the 11. I think he's going to be a yard shy of the line to gain. It's going to be 2nd and 1 from the 11-yard line. I thought Magby had a little more room there.
He was trying to take the edge, and he ran away from his blocker. It's getting cold.
Could have cut it up inside. Yeah, it is getting cold. My words are frozen. My feet are frozen. But 2nd and 1 from the 11-yard line, 8 minutes and we'll call it 40 seconds left on the game clock. Trojans lead by 7. Campbell up the middle, still on his feet. Touchdown, Trojans! Monziel Campbell from 11 yards out, and just what the doctor ordered for the home West Brunswick Trojans. The Brett Hickman-led squad extends its lead to 27-14, 8:32 left in the game. And you hear that collective sigh of relief from the Trojan faithful. I know a long way to go, but at least now the Trojans have a bit of breathing room.
Like we said, they needed a big jolt of energy. They got it on that big run, and then they finished it off right there.
A big extra point here by Locke Murphy, and Murphy nails it through the uprights. And man, oh man, on a 2nd and 3 from the 14-yard line, Monziel Campbell, a 67-yard run, sets up 1st and 10 at the 20. 2 plays later, Campbell scores from 11 yards out, and the Trojans have a 28-14 lead.
Again, shout out West offensive line coming in clutch when West needed it.
Mike, a little update from the other playoff game. Again, we're telling you this one score because the West Brunswick or Chapel Hill, whoever wins this game you're watching, will play the winner of Southeast Guilford and Clayton. And I may need that repeated, but I think Clayton has a 14-10 lead in the 3rd quarter. So if the results of these 2 games stand, West Brunswick would actually host Clayton next week in Charlotte in the 2nd round playoffs. That would be the East Regional semifinals. But a long way to go for the Trojans in this one. 2-touchdown lead, but we've seen how explosive Chapel Hill's offense is. West has to worry about closing this one out first. A big-time kick by Locke Murphy chases Jones into the end zone. A touchback, and Chapel Hill will have to start this possession from its own 20-yard line.
Murphy hammered that into the wind, Sam. That was a very impressive kick.
And you know what helps Mike when it's this windy is, you notice he kept that one pretty low. He just kind of drove it low. And when you have a leg that strong, you don't have to worry about the return on those low kicks because they, cross the goal line. In high school football, you can't return it out of the end zone. It's an automatic touchback if it crosses the goal line. Chapel Hill comes out in a 5-wide receiver set, down by 2 scores, 8.5 minutes left to go in the game.
There it is.
It's picked off! Johnny Magby! The safety, Johnny Magby picks it off! Out of bounds! Out of bounds, Johnny Magby with the biggest defensive play of his Trojan career. And the Trojans, with 8.5 minutes left, are 20 yards away from taking a 3-score lead. Johnny Magby, what a play! Boy, Big Mike, Caleb Kelly for Chapel Hill has been so good all night long and all season long, and he overthrew that receiver by just a hair, enough for Magby to roll over the top and pick off the pass.
He floated it up there for him, and Magby went ahead and just picked it right out. They actually do that in warm-ups. I was watching them. They practice that.
Did he do it well in warm-ups? Because he did it perfectly there. Dylan Bellamy got the carry, but he was stopped behind the line of scrimmage. He actually lost a half yard. Big Mike, you might have to give me 30 seconds. I'm out of breath.
You did sound very excited there, Sam. I'm hoping that West goes ahead and just starts chewing the clock out now. They got a 2-touchdown lead, 22 seconds left on the time clock. You can tell they're taking their time.
And Big Mike, it's not too early to start chewing up some play clock, right?
Hey, I'm an offensive lineman, and it's never too early or too late to start running the ball.
J.J. Cobb makes a man miss.
And just like that, they're passing it, Sam, just like that.
Yep. Now, that's about the closest thing you can get to a running play, putting it in the air, that little bubble screen out to Cobb. And Big Mike, it was enough for a West Brunswick first down, 11 yards on the completion from Monzel Campbell to J.J. Cobb. And Big Mike, I think West is going to do exactly what you're talking about. They might not wait till the play clock's at 1 or 2 to snap it, but if you watch, the coach is going to tell them hold, and when it gets down to about 5-4, they're going to snap it and run the play. West has actually got to hurry up this time. The play clock's already inside 5. There's the snap. Campbell keeps it. He's still on his feet. Finally brought down at about the 6-yard line. Now, Big Mike, of course you want to, you be smart as far as clock management goes, but you also got to think a touchdown here, you being so close, is going to give you a 3-score lead, with 6.5 or 6 minutes left to go. So obviously scoring the priority.
Absolutely, yeah. Touchdown here probably, I don't want to, jinx it, but good chance of sealing it.
But no reason to get in a hurry doing it.
Absolutely. Take your time. West looks like he's got a good little foot on him if they had to kick the field goal. But
Dylan Bellamy across the goal line for a West Brunswick touchdown. Sophomore running back Dylan Bellamy with the score, and the Trojans are in command with a 34-14 lead. Exactly 6.5 minutes left to go in the game, and if I'm not mistaken, that is the first rushing touchdown of Bellamy's young varsity career. Just a 10th grader.
Wow.
Yeah, he's just a sophomore. Was a tailback on the JV team a year ago and has had a great year for the varsity team this year. Locke Murphy's extra point attempt is up. It is good. And Big Mike, how did this game flip so quickly?
Just like the first half when West came out and scored in 40 seconds. The last 3 minutes, all West.
Chapel Hill was in control. It seemed like they got the ball back, had the big 3rd down conversion, and then
Chapel Hill punted the ball, and
yeah.
Here we are 14 points later.
Regardless of Malachi Hewitt kind of dodging the punt there at the last second, the ball rolled dead at the 7. I think Campbell gained 6 or 7 yards on first down, and then on a 2nd and 3 play from the 14, Campbell had, a 65 or so yard rush. 2 plays later, West scored. Chapel Hill gets the ball back on the first play, 1st and 10. Kelly throws a pick. Johnny Magby picks it off, and then West Brunswick goes and scores, and it's a 21-point game again, just like that.
Anytime you can go 92 yards in 4 or 5 plays, score a touchdown, it's going to change the tone.
Now this one's going to be returnable, I think. Yep, it is fielded cleanly at about the 2-yard line. Oh, number 42, Tyleek Webb, they're in on the tackle, and that's exactly what West Brunswick needed to do on that kick return. Jimmy and Meg Fletcher in the house tonight. No surprise there. Jimmy Fletcher, West Brunswick's he was a longtime football coach and now the school's athletic director. You talk about some of the really, really good men or good guys in high school sports around this area, and Jimmy Fletcher's near the top of all those lists. He is quite possibly the nicest human being I've ever met. And he was my high school football coach, coincidentally.
So no bias there.
None whatsoever. Also happens to be one of my dad's closest, confidants and friends. Pass to number 5,
Look at that
called.
reverse.
Oh, Carter Wyatt was there for the tackle and slung him to the turf. Actually, ball carrier for progress marks him. The refs mark him down at the 34-yard line. They're calling it a first down, and 10 yards on a first down play to number 5, Tavon Page, and Chapel Hill is on the move. Hyson Hussein trying to flush Kelly out. Ooh, lowers his shoulder, and
he met a brick wall there.
he tried to lower the shoulder against Carter Wyatt, and it didn't work incredibly well. West Brunswick, boy, Wyatt's got to be up around 15 tackles tonight. He's been around the ball all night long.
And if he's not making them, he's putting them in position, putting his teammates in position to make that play.
Exactly. Jones in motion, coming all the way across the field.
Let it go.
Tyleek Webb trying to chase Kelly down, and he does a pretty good job of it, forcing Kelly out of bounds at the 42-yard line. Kelly was about 2, maybe 3 yards shy of the line to gain. He dove out of bounds, so that stops the clock with 5:32 left. Ball marked at the 42. Yeah, it's 3rd and 2 because Chapel Hill needs the 44 for a first down. And now, Mike, you're definitely in 4-down territory, right?
I'm surprised Chapel Hill is going so fast with the clock stopped right now.
Yeah, good point.
They slowed it down now.
Good point. So 3rd and 2 from the 42. West defense trying to put this one away. Chapel Hill trying to keep its playoff hopes alive. Pass was complete. Is that 2? Nope, that was 3, actually. Cameron Walker, the senior wide receiver, stays on his feet. Clayton now leads Southeast Guilford 21-10, roughly 9 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. So, again, if West Brunswick were to win this game and Clayton holds on, West Brunswick will get another home game next week. The Trojans would host the Clayton Comets by virtue of being a better seed or lower seed technically. West Brunswick, well, for our viewers who aren't familiar, most of the time or in years past, Max Prep's rankings have been used to determine seeds for conference champions. This year in the 3AA East and across North Carolina, all your conference champions went to a random draw.
Oh, wow.
So West Brunswick drew the 3 seed and Southeast Guilford drew the 2 seed. So Clayton, as a wild card, drew the 7. So if number 7 beats number 2, that means with West Brunswick being number 3, that means West would host Clayton in the 2nd round. And Big Mike, if next week's game is for a spot in the Eastern Finals, you're in the Final Four in the state if you make the East Finals. So a lot going on during playoff time, but a long way to go in this one. 1st and 10 at the 48. Sorry, folks, that was a lot.
You would have to hope, though, like West obviously in this game having some advantage, and then potentially next week same thing. What a weird season it's been to be able to play in your own facilities, huge advantage.
Yep. And West lost a home game this year because New Hanover suspended its season with COVID protocols. So even better for these seniors to get to play in front of their families and friends, one last time. Kelly's going to tuck that one and run. He's still on his feet. Finally ran into Carter Wyatt and number 18, Trip Hardy, but Kelly got enough for a first down. Game clock finally running there. 4 minutes and 50 seconds left. Chapel Hill has a 1st and 10 at the 39-yard line. Chapel Hill down by 21.
You got to think they're going to start going for the end zone soon.
Yeah.
It's all Kelly this drive.
Yep, all Kelly this drive. And, Jay, you got to – again, Big Mike, you got to think at this point, anytime West Brunswick tackles Chapel Hill inbounds, it's a victory for the Trojans because even if Chapel Hill gets 9 yards, West Brunswick will trade that for the 30 seconds that run off the clock.
Absolutely. No matter how fast you go, if you're tackled inbounds, you're chewing clock.
Boy, there's soft coverage. Oh, incomplete. That was actually ruled incomplete. Khalil Jones bobbled that and could not come down with the catch. and it's going to be 3rd and 1. Ball is marked right at the 30-yard line. Chapel Hill only needs 1 yard for a first down. Game clock shows 4 minutes and 6 seconds left.
Typically, you'd expect them to run this. If anything, it's going to have to be a QB keeper since they're empty backfield.
Yeah, just get your first down and then get a fresh set of downs and go from there.
But if you're down this many touchdowns, I mean, I feel like you got to just keep going for that end zone.
False start. Looked like the Chapel Hill linemen were moving. Nope, he's actually pointing toward West Brunswick. Yep. Oh,
well, you don't need to run for a first down if the defense gives it to you.
No, if you're just going to give them a first down, there's not much the offense needs to do. So now the ball all the way inside the 30-yard line. And Big Mike, you know, I know it's a 3-touchdown lead, but a score here and you recover an onside kick and score again, and all of a sudden it's game on.
Crazier things have happened.
Much crazier things have happened. So very important for the West Brunswick defense to try to come up with a stop here late in the game.
Going through the corner. Jones.
Oh, boy, he almost made a circus catch over there.
Well, he did catch it.
Yeah, he caught the ball. His foot just came down out of bounds. But, Jay, I give up. I give up.
It's okay, Sam.
But Big Mike, not Jay Combs. I'm joined tonight by Mike Maurer. It's the first time I've ever had a broadcast partner on anything not named Jay Combs. So, Big Mike, just don't throw me over the back of the bleachers. That's all I can ask.
It's all good, Sam. I'm having a great time. I clearly tell you are.
Now I am. 2nd and 10. Ball's at the 25. Slant route. Boy, that's a lot of cushion. I know you don't want to get beat over the top, but, boy, I mean, that's just an easy pitch and catch right there.
Seems like
Kelly's for a first down. That is way too easy.
Kelly's strictly throwing it to Walker and Jones this entire second half.
Yep, so ball and Big Mike, you made a good point earlier about how the backs were getting involved into the passing game. West has limited that since the first quarter, but Chapel Hill's still very much in this one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
He cross-checked him well before the ball got there.
Yeah. And, man, nothing's going with the game clock because the first downs are stopping the clock. Then Chapel Hill's snapping it immediately, and either it's complete and out of bounds or penalties. And, I mean, there's still 3:47 left. A lot of time left in this one.
Yeah, so that's the one thing you can't afford is to give Chapel Hill 20, 30 yards and not make them run the clock out. I mean, I think they've gotten 30 yards and lost
like 15 seconds.
Yeah, 15 to 30 seconds.
So where's the ball marked? About the 7-yard line, it looks like. A receiver late getting onto the field. 2 receivers to the top, 2 to the bottom.
Look for that motion.
Motion man. Let's see if West covers it better this time. That one's going to be an incomplete pass over in the far corner of the end zone.
If Kelly puts that on the money, though, that's a touchdown. Everybody was looking at Jones coming across the field because they scored a touchdown on it earlier.
Sure did.
And the flats was wide open.
So it looks like maybe a 2nd and 3 of some, 2nd and 2 maybe. I think the ball's marked at about the 8, and Chapel Hill needs the 6 for a first down. And it looks like now he's going to be joined in the backfield. Let's see if Chapel Hill tries to move it in on the ground.
He's going to keep it.
Kelly rolls out to his right, gets enough for the first down yardage. Trip Hardy coming off the field for West Brunswick, and Alex Gore checking in. He was tackled inbound, so the game clock continues to run. West Brunswick didn't get lined up, partner. And he is in, number 11, Jalen Mitchell. So, boy, Chapel Hill moved down the field with relative ease right there. Just a lot of 10, 11-yard completed hitches. And now it's probably time for West Brunswick to get the hands team ready. You got to figure with this amount of time left that the Chapel Hill is going to try to attempt an onside kick.
There's no way that they don't.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you gotta get your guys ready. Hopefully, West has a hands team, and they did some practice this week.
Wide open, number 11, Jalen Mitchell. Boy, a less than stellar offense or defensive possession by West Brunswick there after the touchdown to go up 35-14. And Mike,
interesting decision to go for 2 there. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess if you get the onside kick and score, you can kick 2 extra points and actually win now.
Okay.
I guess is the thought process behind it. But if you miss there, then you needed 2 scores and one of those at 2-point conversion. So just a matter of when you want to go for the 2 there. So. Mike, if West Brunswick recovers this, it's still not over, but a couple of first downs would all but salt it away after Chapel Hill burns its timeouts.
Absolutely. The way they've run the ball in the fourth quarter, not so much the third, but the first, second, and fourth, they could easily run the ball, or run the clock out with some of those holes the offensive line's been creating. But first things first, you got to get the ball.
Yep. Primary goal here, if you're West Brunswick, just recover the kick. This isn't. We're going to have to wait and get the kick from Nolan Westrom. You got to get it.
He let it go.
He didn't catch it.
He let it go. You got to attack that.
Chapel Hill's recovered. Avery Clemens, it bounced right in front of him, and he just didn't go catch it.
The ball bounced about 9 yards. It's got to go 10, and he just let it go.
Sophomore wide receiver Avery Clemens was right there. It looked like it took a Sunday hop right into his lap, and he just watched it roll past him, and Chapel Hill jumped on it
to his credit,
to recover the onside kick.
Footballs do take weird bounces, but the odds of it crossing that 10-yard line with that much momentum, I feel like you got to just smother it.
Yep. Well, game on. 3:24 left, and Chapel Hill in business. Boy, oh boy. Unbelievable, isn't it?
It'll be interesting to see what Chapel Hill does here and how West coaches kind of go about getting their defense and in the right mindset.
Yep, and another thing, Big Mike, the West defense was just on the field for about 12 consecutive plays, so they're probably still, catching their breath and have to go right back on the field after Chapel Hill recovered the onside kick.
Well, yes, Sam, I see about 5 or 6 hands on hips right now, so you can tell they've kind of getting a little gassed. You just hope West has gotten back into that comfort zone they were in coming out of the second half.
Jones actually going to be about a half yard short of the line to gain, and the game clock is going to continue to run as the chains won't move for a first down, and Chapel Hill making some personnel changes, and the game clock continues to move, but still plenty of time for Chapel Hill.
Putting Jones on the wide side.
Yep.
Wouldn't be shocked if they go right to him.
Man in motion. Trick play.
Halfback pass. Still threw it.
Oh, very nearly picked off. West Brunswick had it covered really well. And maybe the biggest drawback there for Chapel Hill is that all took about 20 seconds off the game clock. 2:31 left, sets up a 3rd and 1 from the 40-yard line.
Yeah, interesting decision there. I think you either try to go for the first down or you got to run it out of bounds.
Oh, a big hit. Carter Wyatt had a big hit there, but it was enough for a first down for Chapel Hill. And Big Mike, it's clear to me this West Brunswick defense is tired. They weren't even set up. There was a defensive lineman still standing up, running to his position when that ball was snapped.
You got to pick your timing. You got to find an appropriate time to call it a timeout, and I feel like this might be it. I mean, I know you don't want to stop the clock for the other team, but the momentum's clearly back in Chapel Hill's hands.
Yep, good call, Big Mike. Probably would be a good time to regroup and regather your composure. Pass complete to number 5, Tavon Page. 2:10 left in the game, and Chapel Hill knocking on the door. Ball's at the 11-yard line. A chance to make this a one-score game after about 2 minutes ago. West Brunswick had a 3-touchdown lead. Chapel Hill got the ball back, drove down and scored, and then West Brunswick failed to even make an attempt to recover an onside kick. About the easiest onside kick recovery you'll ever see. And
it's a Jacqueline Hyde story, man. West Brunswick, offense and defense, hot and cold. There is no lukewarm.
I mean, even look at it now, Big Mike. You know, Chapel Hill's almost on the ball, set up, ready to go, and the West defense just, you know, jogging back into position on the field.
It's a mindset thing, Sam. Good rush by West. Oh, no.
Oh, man, off his hands and off the hands of the receiver, number 17, Ben Bollinger. Thought it might have been deflected up into the air there by the wide receiver, but instead it's going to be a 2nd and 10 from the 11-yard line. And Big Mike, here's something to think about. If Chapel Hill scores, West will still have the lead, but even if Chapel Hill attempts an onside kick and doesn't recover it, the Tigers still have all 3 of their timeouts left, so could theoretically still get the ball back even if they don't recover the onside kick.
And normally I would say that's probably impossible, but I would just say highly improbable at this point because of the way West has kind of just gone cold.
Oh, it was in his hands. In his hands, number 14, Patrick Vereen, and he couldn't come up with the interception. That will set up a 3rd and 10 for the Tigers from the 11-yard line. Remember, a field goal doesn't do Chapel Hill any good here. A field goal would only make it a 10-point game, and Chapel Hill is going to need 2 touchdowns.
Interestingly enough, this is very similar to the last drive where I feel like they've gone really far and not used a lot of time.
Yep. Yep, only about a minute went off the game clock since the onside kick recovery. So 3rd and 10, ball's at the 11-yard line. Chapel Hill can get a first down without scoring. Boy, he just ran around the left edge and no one was there. It looks like he's going to be maybe a yard shy of the line to gain. And look, Big Mike, the game clock continues to move. It's down to, Chapel Hill's going to have a 4th and 1 from the 2-yard line.
Season on the line right here, right up the middle.
Touchdown. Touchdown. Yep. From the 2-yard line, number 11, Jalen Mitchell scores, and number 22, True Robinson, down on the field injured for West Brunswick. And Big Mike, the last 3 minutes have been an unmitigated disaster for West Brunswick. Undoubtedly took their foot off the gas after the touchdown to go up 35-14. And Chapel Hill is now Chapel Hill has scored more points against West Brunswick than any team has this season. Before tonight, the most the Trojans had given up was 27 points to Hoggard. In other news, Clayton with a 28-10 lead over Southeast Guilford in the other playoff game. So barring a miracle in that game, Clayton will advance to the 2nd round of the state playoffs. If West Brunswick wins, Clayton would travel to Charlotte. If Chapel Hill wins, Clayton would travel to Chapel Hill for a 2nd round playoff game.
It just feels like West got comfortable.
Yeah,
I mean,
took their foot off the gas, lost focus.
3 touchdown lead, but it's playoffs, man. You can't get comfortable because crazy things happen, and we're kind of watching it right now.
Extra point is up, and it is good, almost into the back of the soccer net. And so here we go, Big Mike. For all intents and purposes, the game comes down to an onside kick.
You got to smother this thing.
Yep.
I'm talking attack it with everything you got. You just got to be careful that they don't pooch it over top of you, though. I haven't seen an onside kick successful in years.
Not since 5 minutes ago.
That's just, it's just wild.
And remember, Chapel Hill has all of its timeouts left, so in theory, the Tigers could still get the ball back even if West recovers this, but one West Brunswick first down would probably salt it away. Let's see if Westrom goes the same direction and kicks it to Robinson, or what happens here.
I think this is a good decision. Call a timeout, get your guys level-headed, ready to play.
So, Big Mike, after the West Brunswick timeout, let's see what happens on this side of the field. It's Patrick Vereen, Monzel Campbell, Carter White, True Robinson, Alex Gore, Michael Simpson, Trip Hardy, Malachi Hewitt, Jordan McCall, and Avery Clemens on the far side. Johnny Magby back deep in case Westrom pooches it over their head. We'll see what happens. There's still 1:19 left, and remember, because of the two-point conversion last touchdown, Chapel Hill's only down by 6. Westrom will kick the onside kick. It didn't go 10 yards. The ball did not go 10 yards. And now here's a question. Can West Brunswick take over possession, or does it have to be re-kicked? I think they're going to add the 5 yards to where the ball went out of bounds. And so West Brunswick avoids another onside kick recovery.
That was honestly closer than I probably would have liked.
Yeah, it rolled out at 9.5 yards, or 9 yards.
So his first kick bounced at the 9-yard line, and they recovered it. That kick bounced at the 8.5 and just went out just a little too soon. 2
pretty darn good onside kicks. So now, Big Mike, priority number 1 is a good snap to your quarterback and hanging on to the football at all cost. That's going to be a timeout. Campbell lost about 1 yard on 1st and 10. And that's going to be the first timeout of the second half for Chapel Hill. So, again, with 2 more timeouts, remember, Chapel Hill could get the ball back. And this is why you always want to have those timeouts in your pocket at the end of games. Even if Chapel Hill had 2, West Brunswick could still get this clock all the way down to about 30 seconds or 20 seconds before Chapel Hill got the ball back. Because they have 2 timeouts left now, West Brunswick running on second down, timeout, running on third down, timeout. And, in theory, West could have to punt with about, 55 seconds left or a minute 5 left or a minute left, and Chapel Hill could have a full minute to move the ball down the field.
And if I'm West, the way I've been hot and cold, I don't pass the ball at all. I just keep running it because you might get one of those sparks like you did in the beginning of the second half.
If you get one crease and Campbell runs for a first down, that's all she wrote.
You need
one first down.
11 yards right now.
Yep, West needs 11 yards and a first down, and that would be the game. And that's it! Monzel Campbell! He's gone! Monzel Campbell stalks this one away! A minute 4 left! Monzel, 41 yards and a touchdown! And the Trojans barely might still escape with a first-round victory, riding the coattails of number 2, Monzel Campbell. Mike, a game of inches, right? In this case, a game of 3 feet. That onside kick was this far from being recovered by Chapel Hill. The way their offense is played, they probably go score and win the game. Instead, West scores again, and the lead could be back to 13 with a made extra point.
And that's what we were talking about. West, this entire fourth quarter has been cold, and they come out after the botched onside kick, get the second one, lose a yard on the first play, and then he hits that seam and just goes right up for a touchdown.
Monzel Campbell, I have no idea what his rushing numbers look like, but between just the 67-yarder a couple possessions ago and the 41-yarder there. There's 108, and add in all the other runs he had tonight. He's probably near the 300-yard rushing mark, or 250 at least.
Yeah, I mean, definitely over 200.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got maybe a dozen or two passing yards.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, the first touchdown where he just popped the ball forward to J.J. Cox, it counts as passing yards, so he's got those 30, 35. And then he had a couple bubble screens and flare screens that went for, 10, 15. So I'd imagine, 60, maybe 70 yards passing.
Heck of a game.
Boy, it has been the highest, best game we've had all year, highest quality game, cleanest game. It's a short pop-up kick. Now West might recover. Oh, Chapel Hill dives on it at the 36-yard line. I think I scared a young fan here about two rows below us. She turned her head like that. Sorry if that was really loud in your living rooms, but Big Mike, this has been it's been a great game. Entertainment value's been great, but hasn't it? It's been all or nothing for both teams at different times. It's either been stretch of all West Brunswick or all Chapel Hill, and nothing in between.
Yeah, normally you expect like a grind out back and forth. This is something else, man.
Oh, Jones called it, but Big Mike was short of the line to gain, so the game clock continues to run as Chapel Hill runs up to get on the ball. We're at 45 seconds. Remember, Chapel Hill has 2 timeouts left, so, there is some time.
There you go.
Oh, batted down at the last second by number 9, Jordan McCall. Oh, boy, fisticuffs. Oh, boy. I think it's going to be some.
You hate to see a game that was as well played as this one kind of start to devolve a little bit.
Man, you hate to see that. And to be honest, I only caught the tail end of it. I have no idea what happened.
I was watching the ball. Tough throw by Kelly running off his back foot, trying to get the ball deep.
Holding against Chapel Hill. And Big Mike, that's big because that's going to be 10 more yards that Chapel Hill has to cover. And that play alone took about 18 seconds from Kelly avoiding the pressure, rolling out the high arcing pass, and it batted down to the turf. So all the way down to 34, almost 35 seconds left in the game, and a 3rd and 20. Ball is at the 28.5-yard line. Chapel Hill with a 3rd and 20, 34 seconds left in the game.
Yeah, typically your 2-minute drill is going to be kind of chunking it out, getting to the sidelines. But when you're down this big with this little time left, you got to go for it all.
Yep, got to go big, right? Kelly rolls out, avoids pressure, pass complete to number 5.
It's interesting that he keeps trying to roll to his left.
He was actually short of the line to gain, but they're going to get West Brunswick for hopefully a horse collar tackle because Robinson had a hold of him about 10 yards inbounds.
Sam, some of these defensive penalties.
Oh, boy.
The mentality that you're kind of seeing in the way the game played, it's going to be tough for West next week if they don't clean it up.
No. I'd give you a horse collar tackle, but not a late hit there. Momentum was carrying them that way, but nevertheless, Big Mike, personal fouls, unsportsmanlike penalties, you're not going to win a second-round playoff game, committing as many as West Brunswick did tonight. And, people are leaving. I'm not sure why yet. There's still 27 seconds left, and it's a 13-point game. Remember, Chapel Hill's already recovered one onside kick. It's going to be a reverse. He had him. He escaped. Mike Smith almost had him again.
He's open.
He's got a man.
He's out of bounds.
Oh, out of bounds. Jordan McCall made a great recovery over there. No flags on the field, and Big Mike, that play took 13 seconds. The game clock went all the way from 27 seconds to 14 seconds. So West Brunswick, at this point, just trying to hang on for dear life because that receiver was open there. He got lost, yeah. the throw was just a little bit off target. Boy, Michael Smith nearly had him in the backfield there.
It's typically when you see a play like that, you're expecting flags from the offense or the defense, whether it's holding defense, holding offense. So I'm surprised there was no laundry on the field on that.
Yep, none at all.
If that was Kelly throwing that ball, he probably puts it right to his chest.
Yeah.
Just like that. Another penalty. Looked like a face mask.
My, oh my. Now the game clock down to 9 seconds, but the ball's going to be at the 16-yard line. So, I mean, Chapel Hill has got 30 yards on this final drive alone on West Brunswick penalties. And I think Big Mike, you know, at this point, put your heels on the goal line, and if you can just tackle them here without them scoring, it's a huge win. What you don't want to have to do is get your hands team out there again to recover another onside kick. That's the one thing you want to avoid.
And you could tell some of these penalties are probably just because the defense has been on the field a majority of, the last 30 minutes?
Yep. Oh, yeah. I mean, probably in the last 30 minutes of real time, I think the West defense has probably been on the field, 20 to 22 of those?
Absolutely.
Because the only West scoring drive, Chapel Hill recovered one onside kick, so that West didn't get the ball then, and then the next time West got the ball, they ran 2 plays and it scored. So otherwise, it's been the West defense on the field the whole time.
So and that's where, you know, when you start getting tired like that, your tackles get high, your hands get lazy, you go for collars and face masks, and you're kind of seeing it now.
42 to 29, a shootout it has been at MH Rourke Stadium, and I wonder what time it is. This game's probably approaching 3 hours. Yep, 8:57 kicked off. Oh, it did kick off at 6:30, so that's right. Those 6 o'clock starts have been throwing me off. So 9 seconds left in the game, 1st and 10, ball's at the 16-yard line, and that's a false start. The left tackle there, number 72, came out of his stance. That's Declan Savage. What a good-looking kid he is. He's that's Big Mike size right there. Big boy.
He's been locking it down on that left side. They haven't got much pressure from that side except for a couple of those plays where West timed it up real well. So good game for him.
He's only 265. You could take him. 9 seconds left, 1st and 15 from the 21. West trying to pressure Kelly. Ball batted down, number 20, Malachi Hewitt makes a great play there, and the game clock all the way down to 3 seconds left. So, Big Mike, here's the goal here. Even if Chapel Hill scores, if you're the Trojan faithful, you just hope and pray and have your fingers crossed that it takes 3.1 seconds, because if there's no time left on the game clock, a touchdown here is inconsequential. What you don't want is Chapel Hill to have another chance at an onside kick. So we'll see what happens. There's the snap. Kelly rolls out to his left. That's game. Let's see if West Brunswick can bring him down. Nope. He scores. Touchdown. Number 15, Caleb Kelly. Not a walk-off touchdown. I guess it is a walk-off touchdown, but that's going to do it. West Brunswick 42 to 35 winners over the Chapel Hill Tigers. And Big Mike, sometimes in the playoffs it doesn't matter what it looks like. You just win and figure out the rest later. They'll have plenty of time to review the tape and look what went wrong tonight and make adjustments and try to prepare for next week. But you got to be happy if you're the Trojans. You won, and that's the name of the game.
In playoffs, the only thing that matters.
Only thing that matters. As they say in the NCAA tournament, survive and advance. That's going to do it for all of us here at ATMC TV. The players are exhausted. I'm exhausted. West Brunswick, fortunate to come out this one winners. Just a bad start, a horrid third quarter. And both those things happened, yet West Brunswick still came away with a 42 to 35 victory. Again, Monzel Campbell, the star of the show. Johnny Magby with a big night with a rushing touchdown and an interception. Dylan Bellamy had a rushing touchdown. J.J. Cobb had a big night at receiver. We could go on and on and on. But West Brunswick 42, Chapel Hill 35. That'll do it for our entire team at ATMC TV. Looks like West Brunswick will host Clayton in Charlotte next week in the second round of the state playoffs. West will be one of 4 teams left in the eastern part of the bracket and a chance to play for a spot in the Eastern Championship game. Mike, final parting thoughts?
Hey, a lot of explosive plays. West looked good at times. West has some things to work on. Like you said, they'll watch the tape. They'll get better, and we'll be here next week.
We will be here next week. That is for sure. For Mike Maurer, I'm Sam Hickman, Aaron Varnum, Nathan Evers, the guys who really are the stars of the show. Thank you all for tuning in tonight and cheering on your local West Brunswick Trojans to victory. Again, looks like the Trojans will host the Clayton Comets next week in Charlotte, and we'll have all the action for you right here on ATMC TV. Good night from MH Rourke Stadium. We'll see you next time.